know we can fly.
Good afternoon, it's your girl Key. I'm about to go live on the BBC talking all things easing out of lockdown. Very excited, very proud, privileged that they would call me to talk about such an important topic. So how about you? How is life treating you post-lockdown? Let me know if you've got any questions. Inbox your girl Key. Tonight. Talking all things coming out of lockdown. So important to pay attention to how you're doing, how you're feeling. If you're someone who honours how you feel. If you don't honour how you feel.
Stoke at 20 to 4, Wednesday afternoon, playing George Benson and Give Me the Night. TLC, Jackie Wilson and Luther Vandross on your radio in the next, what should we say, half an hour or so? If you want to get in touch, 0800 121 880. If you want to text 81333, start your message with the word Stoke. If you want to get in touch, if you just want to say, yeah, you can do. So how's everything with you at the moment? You feeling better after Monday, the easing of the lockdown? You had both your jabs? Wondering when you can go on holiday? How are you feeling about the fact that you can now go out and meet people? Relaxed about it? Feeling a little bit nervous? Social anxiety disorder is a fear of social situation. It includes worrying about meeting strangers, how to act with groups of friends, or generally feeling self-conscious. Everyone's got their own issues and stresses, haven't they? Let's have a chat with Keeley, who's a psychotherapist who joins me live on BBC Radio Stoke. Now, hi Keeley, how are you?
I'm doing well, how are you?
I'm alright, thank you very much. It's always a big question to ask a psychotherapist, isn't it? How are you doing?
No, not for me. I like to think I'm quite normal. If people ask me, I tell them.
That's all good then. So, what have you noticed? Have you experienced a lot of people getting in touch with you since Monday then?
Well, I think personally, I think it's unique to how we deal with life's stresses and strains. That sometimes some of the challenges that we were already having with life is starting to come up. So yes, the phone has been ringing for people wanting additional help. And I think one of the challenges is the fear, like, you've mentioned here, people feeling anxious about actually getting out there again, feeling really cautious. And some of that is important because there is no cure. However, we are social beings by design, for the majority of us. And so actually it really is important that we begin to think about, small ways that we can begin to ease ourselves out of lockdown in ways that work for us, because overwhelm is not helpful in these situations.
Louise, who was on before us at BBC Radio Stoke today between 1 and 2, she was talking about the fact that there's lots of people getting in touch with her that are genuinely quite nervous about the idea of going to meeting people. We spent a year, haven't we, getting used to being on our own, and now all of a sudden can be put back into social situations.
Yeah, and I think that is about, the challenge with anxiety is it's a voice that also fuels that in our head. So we need to pay attention to what are the things that we say to ourselves about a potential situation where we feel anxious. I always encourage my clients, write down what you say to yourself, because that enables us to work out how rational or irrational our thoughts can be in that situation. And that gives us an insight into, are some of those fears really grounded, or are they a little bit extreme? So I always encourage people to befriend that voice, the voice in us that promotes anxiety, in order to begin to assess, how realistic or evidence-based that voice is. Sometimes it really isn't. And that is to pay attention to. And in addition, also thinking about whether, our safety measures will also be helpful, wearing masks, maintaining social distances are, regarded as good self-care practices. So people need to be thinking about, what it is that they say, but also what actions can they take to, protect them in a physical space as well.
lots of people will obviously, I suppose it's easy to kind of focus on the negatives and all the people that are kind of worrying at this moment. There were a lot of people feeling really relieved. We went to see our parents-in-law for the first time in a while the other day, and sometimes it can be good and bad to speak to my mother-in-law, but we're both chatting. It felt so nice to speak to someone different about something different when you've not had the same conversations for the last year with the same people.
Exactly, and that's the challenge, because with anxiety and overthinking, it can result in inaction, because what happens in our mind is we create a scenario of how we think it will be, and the challenge is that has not been met with reality. Therefore, how do we know? Through experience. And that's what, getting out there gives us. And that's where you get to challenge whether your head is irrational and over worries about things, or actually it's not as bad as I thought it was. And often for many people, when they take action and get outside of their comfort zone, they realize actually it was worse in my head than it was in reality. And that's so important in terms of taking action.
Can you give us some practical tips then, Keeley? Because it's always the same thing, isn't it, when you people chatting on the radio about this kind of thing? You think people talk about ideas of how to deal with it, but is there anything practical that we can do?
I think one of the first things is maintain, your safety practices, mask wearing, social distancing. I think also I'm a massive fan of starting small, because small wins give us a sense of achievement, a sense that we are making change, and you get your victories, which I also encourage people to celebrate your victories, no matter how small that might be, because that becomes accumulative, because we're very great at decimating ourselves when things go wrong, but we don't give equal opportunity to when we do things really well. And so if people are feeling incredibly anxious about getting out, that's absolutely fine. However, we are social beings by design, generally for neurotypical people. And so that might be about, how do you begin to start small? That might be a walk to the shops. That might be a walk to, obviously everybody's walking now, but you set a goal for yourself. Or actually buddying up can be really helpful for people. That gives accountability and means that we're not always doing everything alone. So those are some of my practical tips. Start small, buddy up, and get accountability.
Keeley, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Take care. That's the voice of Keeley Taverner.
Thank you so much for that, Keeley. Have a lovely afternoon.
You too. Take care.
Love is Keeley.
Bye.
Is out now.
Bye.
Right, let's play this.
Well, there you go, gang. Just a quick interview for BBC Stoke talking about coming out of lockdown. How has coming out of lockdown, it's now day 2, been for you? Are you getting back out there? Are you enjoying it? Or are you frightened and you're still doing exactly what you've been doing over the past 12 months or so? If that is the case, if you feel stuck or frightened and you're kind of not leaving your own comfort zone, that is understandable, because there's lots of fear and anxiety out there. However, with anything in life, we have to be mindful and we have to be careful that it doesn't take root. Fear doesn't take root, because if you let fear take root, your world will become smaller and smaller and smaller. So what I'm always encouraging people to do is to start small. Set yourself small tasks, small goals to help you get out of your comfort zone. I am of the view that our comfort zone becomes our stagnation zone. And it's one of the reasons why so many people get sad and depressed. Humans are complex. We are complex organisms. We are complex by design. And so one thing is never good. So whilst you may have been in lockdown and you've got into your own routines, which is a wonderful thing, there is a massive benefit to your well-being and your mental health to getting back out there. But most importantly, we don't want to force people. It's never about forcing people, but encouraging you to take small steps outside of your comfort zone. That enables you not to feel overwhelmed and gives you a sense of control. I hope this news broadcast has been beneficial to somebody out there. It's always a pleasure to do interviews for mainstream organisations and little ones. I just want to help and inspire more people. If you need any help or assistance, or anything I've said here has kind of got you thinking, then do feel free to inbox me. It's your girl Key. Just been on the BBC talking about easing yourself out of lockdown. Do take care of you, because if you don't, no one is coming to save you. You have to learn to save yourself. Peace.